policy monitor, to design a policy monitor for the President of South Africa. This is long and way before any kind of explosion in AI that we are experiencing today. At the time, we considered it an expert system. The dashboard shows regional information and policy information. The red circle around one of the topics indicates one of the regions indicates that it needs some kind of policy attention. I made it capable to zoom into some of these specific policy topics so that we could actually take a closer look at what was going on in the country and how we could try to find out what we could do to improve the situation on that particular policy level. However, given that it was an election year in South Africa and the president wanted to show that his policies weren't as successful as he hoped, we decided instead to review this policy monitor and change it into a phone app to improve government services. What they had done is they had scored on a large number of public services or government services what the level of service was. And we decided to enter that into a phone app so that someone could see their own score, just like you can see here, and then have a big button say improve now so that they can click on that and get an idea of what they could do to actually improve their record. One part of the improvements are technical and implementation ideas on how to do a better job. And the other aspect that we introduced was to have some kind of a community where people could give their own tips on how they manage to improve their scores. Again, this is way before the actual AI as we are using it nowadays. But it was an information database and it was an expert system helping government officials across regions, across different government agencies to actually improve their services to the citizens of South Africa. The president was re-elected, but he forgot about the project, I'm sad to say. As you can see, these are the branches of artificial intelligence research that have been active for, let's say, the past 15 years at least. I mentioned the one called expert systems, but at the same time, there were a lot of different aspects of artificial intelligence being researched, and a lot of progress was booked on different research areas. This is important to know because a lot of these different researches culminated into what we call the artificial intelligence today, as we see in AI chatbots that seem to be jumping out at us at every turn we can make. But I wanted you to consider how broad the field is, and that the AI chatbot is just one part of it.
Complete trust. Trust means hush money now. When you finish your studies, there's a contract awaiting you on the management team of my holding company. I've signed all the papers.
Excuse me, there's someone who has turned on his microphone. Would you please turn it off so that we can talk to the others? Thank you. As I said, this is the body of knowledge involving artificial intelligence. The current AI chatbots are just a part of it, but they are very, very sophisticated. And they are the culmination of progress made across all of these fields. When I first started in artificial intelligence, let's say, the core version that we have now, let's say about 8 years ago, I worked with IBM Watson. At the time, it was the most advanced artificial intelligence on Earth. And I entered my cat, Bobby. And what IBM Watson did is give me a score on how accurate the description was. So if we look at this score, the beige color has a score of 0.91, which is 91%. Means that IBM Watson is 91% sure that beige is available in this image. The one that I am interested in most, and which triggered me as the actual idea of intelligence, is almost the last one. It's called veterinarian's office. And the reason that I thought this was important and interesting is because if you would look at websites in the United States, particularly, chances are that you would find someone holding a cat, and that would be a veterinarian. So unfortunately, it's only at 54%, but it did find some idea of that this could be a veterinarian holding a cat based on the research it had and the images it had involving cats and veterinarians. And I thought that this was a first sign of some kind of intelligence as we know today. The sad part about this is that the other 54% accuracy involves a room, and that sort of diminishes the finding about the veterinarian's office. But I thought that this was a good sign of what we mean when we're talking about artificial intelligence. One of the basic elements for artificial intelligence, as you well know, is big data. The availability of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of data points all across different topics, all across different countries, combined through the internet. This is what made the advance of artificial intelligence possible. The availability of a huge number of data, whether it's structured or unstructured. I'd like to give you two examples of how big data could be used. The first example is about a car rental company that wanted to know what people did with their cars. So they searched credit card databases in order to find out where the credit card that was used to rent their car was also used, let's say, the same day. And especially they were wondering about cars rented at the early afternoon on a Friday and returned on the Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. What they discovered was that the same credit card used to rent the car also was used to rent a hotel. So basically, the people renting the cars were out for a romantic weekend. Now, if you know your customers well, you already knew this, but this particular car rental company needed the data to confirm what that it was a romantic weekend, and they then offered their customers a romantic weekend package with car and hotel. So it was for the marketing that they used this analysis. Now, what this analysis did, it was very basic. It looked for two of the same credit card numbers on the same day, which in statistics is called a correlative research. And they're trying to find out where these two elements exist. And this correlation of data is one of the most basic elements of artificial intelligence today. Again, may I request some of you who have turned on their microphones to turn those off, please? Thank you. The other example is a different kind of big data research example, and it involves already having an idea how some of the data are involved together. Let me give you an example. There was a dating app that had figured out that if people had some kind of biological connection and that's let's say a chromosomal connection or a similar chromosome definition, then they would match better than if they didn't have this chromosomal connection. And they figured out that identifying this chromosomal connection involved the length of the ring finger in proportion to the middle finger. So in their questionnaire, in order to try, in the questionnaire that the romantic partners had to fill in order to find their match, they asked about the length of their finger, and along with where they lived and what their hobbies were and what their jobs were and what their education level were, they had this question, and based on this added element of the size of the length of the ring finger, they found different kinds of matches. And in this case, technically speaking, they have a certain model where they say, well, these are the elements that we are looking for, and please find different sets of data that have all of these elements. So in the first example of the credit cards, they were looking through a big box of credit card numbers and find the same numbers. And in the idea of the dating app, they are having a model which says we want the data to fit this model. So these are the two different types of statistical analysis that are used in big data and are form the basis of the current artificial intelligence. The other important part of the current idea of artificial intelligence is the machine learning, how we train machines to recognize the different patterns. And this is a very simple visual model of the process of learning. So we have the training data at the top. So let me go back to the idea of cats and dogs. What you do with the training data, you add thousands of pictures of cats and say, these are cats. Then you add thousands of pictures of dogs and say, these are dogs. And then you enter a picture of a cat or a dog and ask the machine which of the two it is. And once the machine is accurate in predicting whether the picture is of a cat or of a dog, then you have a closed learning loop and you have a great accuracy for your artificial intelligence to successfully predict what it is seeing. These two aspects, the big data and this basic machine learning aspect, are the basis of the current artificial intelligence machines that we know now. So if you are offered some kind of a service or software package that does not include either of these two, then it is probably regular software that can be very advanced, as in the case of the expert system that we designed for South Africa, but it would not be an artificial intelligence application by the definition that I just gave you of the big data and the machine learning. The advances on artificial intelligence that we've found now, especially with the appearance of ChatGPT, broke through these walls and made something possible that we long thought was impossible. Actually generating a response that can be very or not very accurate. So what this does, the GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So the generative means that it is generating a response based on the prompt from its user. So it is a real-time response. Pre-trained means that the machine has been instructed to recognize topics, texts, documents, a lot of information in order to be able to understand the prompt and find the reply, and the transformer means that it is able to transform the data that is available to it into this generative response. So what it does is, when I asked who's the president of Nigeria, it will go in its databases. It will have context windows for language models where that identify certain topics. So in this particular case, it will go into a context window about Nigeria, and then it will find the topic president. Now, there can be thousands of different presidents, presidents of the AAAI in Nigeria, presidents of agencies, presidents of universities. But since the strongest correlation, the strongest number of appearances of the word president will probably be the president of Nigeria, it will decide to use that topic to generate its response. And it will find the appropriate context window and say, okay, apparently my statistical analysis brought me to the term president of Nigeria, and the answer that the documents that it is analyzing gives them, and it will give the name of the current president or any other former president. So the generative aspect and the very sophisticated way of building these context windows is a major breakthrough in how we've come to learn and work with artificial intelligence chatbots. Now, there's also a matter that the chatbot can get lost. There's been a lot of talk about hallucinations in the responses that ChatGPT, for instance, gave. And what happens here is that it basically picks the wrong context window to answer the question that the user is putting to it. To give you another example, just in the beginning, when ChatGPT opened up to the public, one of the reporters decided to write little articles on its discussions with ChatGPT. And at a certain moment, ChatGPT said, "No, you don't love your wife, you love me." And the reporter was startled by what the machine said, and made clear that he did love his wife and that he was not particularly interested in ChatGPT. ChatGPT persisted and said, "No, you don't love your wife, you love me." And it even came back on the topic when the journalist worked through the. And in this particular case, I like that ChatGPT got lost in the realm, the context window of soap operas, daytime soap operas, where responses are very well known. And that is what we would call a hallucination. But despite these hallucinations, there are less and less of those. The machines have become more and more sophisticated. At the beginning, there was even an idea that there would be a new job called the prompter that would learn how to address the AI chatbot very specifically to get the proper answer. But the language models behind ChatGPT and other models are so sophisticated that you do not need a specialized prompter anymore. The machine is very quick and very capable of recognizing what you're saying, remembering what you're talking about, and keep generating responses that actually have to do with the topic that you're discussing. So when we thought we had created a new job based on AI, it was the same AI that made the job disappear, which I think is rather ironic. Congratulations on the first generative AI in Nigeria, which is called NIGPT. A little less than a month ago, a group called Great Dots AI launched the generative AI. I haven't had the opportunity of using it, but it is impressive to see how the emergence of ChatGPT made other countries, other companies design their own. And if you're at all following the topic, you will notice that after ChatGPT, we got Google's Gemini, then we got Claude of Anthropic, now we have Mistral, now we have Llama by Meta. There are literally hundreds of AI chatbots evolving that use this generative technology. And there's even some kind of a competition among countries in order to have their own GPTs in order to make sure that you're not dependent on other countries to be able to use it. Zenvus in Nigeria uses AI to help farmers optimize their crop yields. The system collects data on soil, moisture, nutrients, and growth patterns, and instructs the farmers on what to do to improve the crop. The Standard Bank of South Africa uses AI for their credit scoring. They use different data points and variables in order to predict if someone will use the money responsibly or not. Uganda's tax authority uses an AI chatbot to help people fill in their tax forms, making it more accessible and making it more understandable. In the Netherlands, our tax organization says we can't make it more pleasant, but we can make it more fun. And I think that this chatbot illustrates that point. So there are a lot of applications today that can use different forms of AI as I've explained. Formally, Nigeria does not have a legal framework yet, but there are two major legal documents, the Nigeria Data Protection Act and the Security and Exchange Commission rules on robo-advisory services that already offer some kind of a framework to regulate and govern the use of AI. Now, this is a list of compliance rules that you have to follow already without the major legal AI framework. I'm not going to discuss all of them, but know that this is accessible and that is already applicable. And what I like most about the idea of governance is that it is more the management of your information, the data that you're using, because that leads to hallucinations or something else, and less the governance of the actual algorithms. Certainly the algorithms do make your machine perform, but it's the data that makes sure that it is the data management that makes sure that the responses that you get are accurate and factual, because those are that is the data that you have entered. And if you govern that information, if you manage that information, then you manage the responses that you will get when using AI. Currently, it isn't, for none of us, it's certain what exactly the regulation will look like. Not for us, and the regulators don't know yet, but within the coming year, we will see different regulatory frameworks appear that will explain how companies should use AI. This was a very quick view of AI in different facets. I hope it has been informative to you. I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'd like to return the host to Miss Miracle, who introduced me. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
it was very informative. I was particularly intrigued with the fact that Nigeria has its own AI chat box. And yeah, we have less than 5 minutes, right about a little bit about 5 minutes for questions. So if you have any question, you can please indicate before we go off. The topic was about AI in governance, and we did a brief introduction as to what AI is all about. And one of the both the good sides, the downsides of AI, just a little bit of issues here and there. However, I believe that I don't know, we could have a more in-depth lecture as time goes on this. Hopefully, we could have Mr. Flocky indulge us. So we would discuss, and if he's okay with it, we will definitely go on. I don't know if there's any question. We have a question. Okay, Mr. Victor is asking, he said, how can AI help with security?
That is a very broad question, Victor. It depends on what kind of security you're talking about. Already, let's give an example. We have policing that tries to use robbery data to predict where some robberies might occur or break-ins may occur, if that is the kind of security you're talking about. If we're talking about, more cybersecurity, then it gets a lot more technical. And the idea of a machine learning where there are weaknesses in your system and predicting where a next attack might occur is a way that you could use AI to secure your own system. These are two different examples, and I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it's clear enough. Any other question? So in a nutshell, with information, we can be able to beef up security. We could find robbery-prone areas through AI and try to combat it with information we have.
Great. Thank you so much for the invitation. Again, I hope it was informative, and that and I'll be happy to repeat this presentation or help you go more in depth at another time.
Okay, we'll take the last question, sir. Are there any AI models for health securities yet?
There are AI models that I'm not sure about the word security, but there are already AI chatbots. I think even in Africa, I think I saw one in South Africa that talk to potential patients about what is ailing them so that they can get directed to the proper care faster than they would. So I'm not sure if this fits the term security, but there are different health care applications using AI to predict whether something is cancerous or direct patients to the right form of care.
Okay, then my own question, can AI make you rich?
I think it can, and we'll see a lot of great developments and a lot of progress on the field of AI once we have a bigger AI network and field.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for this informative section. And for everyone who is in attendance, thank you so much. Please, if you are not connected to AAI Nigeria WhatsApp, you can reach out to me and we would be able to link you up so you can have personal information whenever we have a seminar like this. Thank you so much, everyone, and do have a blessed day. Bye.